Welcome to Chalk Talk. I'm Joe White, and today my guest, Charlie Hitchings. Charlie is someone who I've played against quite a bit over my career, and we've sort of crossed paths now and again, but I've never really been that close to him. I've got to know him more recently, and I'm really excited to have a good conversation with him today about his non-league career. He's had a real range of experiences, and really interested in getting into that today, Charlie. So welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on, mate. How are you?
Cheers, Joe. Yeah, all good, mate. I know we spoke about it a few weeks ago coming on here, so I'm glad we finally got around to doing it. I kind of persuaded you to do it, so yeah, looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on, mate. Like I said, we've we've played against each other one or two times. I've not really known you too much. I think we've probably got quite a few mutual friends in common, haven't we, around the sort of football circuit, and then we sort of well, I've had some good chat to you over recent months, and it's good to get you on, mate. So let's just, first thing I always talk about with all guests is just your earliest memories in football. So what are your earliest memories in football, mate?
Growing up, I grew up in Charfield, so it's about 10 minutes from Yate, kind of outskirts. I've got two older brothers, my dad's, and live with mum as well, and it was all kind of sports and motorbikes and football, and my dad played football, but he also raced motorbikes, so it was kind of like very kind of boisterous. The three of us always wanted to get involved in, similar sports to dad, like most kids do. And dad was, I think he was manager of Charfield under 11s, I think, and my oldest brother Frank played for them, and I kind of went along with dad a lot to his games to watch Frank and have a little kick about and get involved. And I think I was 6, and we started, I think there was a team started then, under 8s team, Charfield under 8s. And yeah, I was 6, so I was playing a year out of, of my age group. They're all older than me. I remember I had black Puma Kings with green stripe on it. I think it was green writing on them, quite old school. That's probably the year. I was a winger. I was a left wing, right wing striker.
Winger. Wow.
Yeah, that was me back in the day. It was all about scoring goals and being greedy and taking people on. But it's totally changed now. That's never been me.
No, brilliant. Yeah, great, mate. So I know that you joined Bristol City Academy, didn't you? What age was that? So
from kind of under 8s to under 12s, I played for Charfield. And on the side with Charfield, I joined South Gloss Soccer School, I think it was called.
Right. Okay.
And that was kind of like once a week training and occasional games. And then that led on to Jamie Shore Soccer School. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Right. Yeah.
Jamie Shore's ex-Rovers, quite an unfortunate career, I think, with a lot of injuries. And he set up this soccer school. And that kind of bridged the gap between playing local football and academies, if you know what I mean. So you're playing local,
sure.
Go to a soccer school, see if you're good enough, and if you are, big teams come to watch you, and then you can step on to kind of progressing into an academy. So I was at Jamie Shore for, I think, from under 12s, probably under 14s, and then that was good. That was 3 times a week training. That was really intense. That was shirt and tie to football games. It was all about discipline.
Wow.
Trained kind of Tuesday, Thursday evenings in Westbury-on-Trim. And then Saturdays, you had a rota. I've still got all of the documents up in my loft. But we had a rota of, on Saturdays was swimming, gymnastics, video analysis. We've done all sorts. I've still got the notepads. We used to sit in the classroom and go through footage of Gaza and all these, top players, and we have to make notes on what they were doing. It was really, really kind of based on discipline, a lot of it. Trying to live like a professional footballer at the age of 12,
Yeah. So did you have to pay with this? Did you have to pay for this, or?
Yeah. I don't know how it started. I think my mum and dad may have spoke to someone at South Gloss, the little soccer school there, or they've seen it in the paper. I'm not really sure, but I was one of the first ones to go there. And it really took off in Bristol. It was quite a popular thing for kids to go to. It really took off. I don't think it's running anymore, but at the time it was quite big. And then through that, I knew a few of the lads played for Bitton. So I think it was 13, 14. kind of thought I'd kind of outgrown playing local for Charfield. Let's see if I can progress and play a little bit more into the Bristol scene and see if I can kind of get spotted.
Yeah.
And that worked. So I spent one season at Bitton, at under 14. And then at the end of the season, Bristol City offered me a trial. So kind of took off from there. But then City didn't really work out. I was there for a year. I was in Joe Bryan's age group, Bobby Reid. Scott Wilson was I think Scott was a year above, sometimes played for us.
Yeah. So how old are you? How old are you?
I'm 28. 28.
Right, okay.
So I think Scott played a year above, but sometimes he would play for us and so on. But Bobby's a year above me, but he would play mainly for our team because he was a bit smaller. So they used to put him in our age group. Obviously, little did they know he'd obviously go to the top. They didn't really think that at the time, I don't think. But Joe Bryan was always a class above. Him and Bobby were just, they were very good players. That was 3 times a week in the City Academy, so that was pretty brutal. Chelsea, Fulham, we played all the top teams. Aston Villa, kind of travelled all over. Didn't quite work out. I would say I wasn't as developed as some of my competition in centre mid and kind of centre back. There was lads that were big boys, and they could handle the physicality. So I only had 1 season there, which was, I was gutted, but absolute heartbroken at the time. So I got released on I think it was on the Tuesday, and then the Wednesday playing for the district. So I played for district for Alex Sykes. You obviously know Sykes here.
Yeah.
I played for Sykes. I think I played on a Wednesday night, and then by the Thursday I was at Cheltenham Town training, and I'd signed that night. So in 1 week I got released, played, and then signed for Cheltenham. So it was
So what team was Sykes managing?
So that was just a district local team because he was obviously a teacher at Redknock. So he used to run all the kind of. I went to KLB, so Catherine Lady Barclay School. The players from that age group.
Really decent guy.
Yeah, he's a top bloke. I spoke to him recently actually, and he is it's good to see him back in management now as well. So
he's taken over at Cinderford, isn't he?
Yeah. I think he'll do well because he's like I said, he knows his stuff. He knows the local scene as well. So he's he's top bloke. But I went from.
Sorry.
Well, no, go on, mate.
Yeah, carry on. I interrupted you. Go on, carry on.
No, that's all right. So after that, kind of went to Cheltenham, and I think they were. So Bristol City were classes in academy. I think Cheltenham was a centre of excellence. I think there was a difference at the time. It was still the same commitments. Trained twice a week at Hartbury, most of the time, or at the first team training ground, which was quite good. And then we had games on Saturdays, but you played like Swindon, Exeter, all the other centre of excellences. You probably went through that as well. And that was it. I kind of 14, 15, 16 was at Cheltenham. And after that was offered the scholar. So it was, quite a mix growing up. I went from the real, the village football to get used to football, get my love for it. And then went into the Bristol scene. It was kind of like quite an eye-opener, I think. At a young age, I was quite in the local area. I was one of the better players. So it was like everyone was kind of thinking, Charlie's going to make it. And then you kind of go into the academy scene. It's just a different ball game, It was just mental. You're playing lads that are fully developed. You're playing fast-paced football. It was crazy. I knew it wouldn't work out at City. I had a few good games.
It's a high standard, though, isn't it? Bristol City Academy, they're Premier League Academy, I think, at the time, weren't they? I think Cat 1, I think they still are. And it is a high standard in terms of, it's basically the best lads in and around the Bristol area, isn't it? And you've got to be at a high standard to play for, or to even get a look at, haven't you, really? Yeah,
definitely. And like I said, it was, Joe Bryan was the benchmark, and Bobby, they were just, especially Joe, was different class from the time I knew him. And then you see him now, he is a good player,
Yeah, sure.
But it was definitely an eye-opener. Cheltenham, I found less of an eye-opener. I'm not sure if because I had a year at City, it was kind of like I was used to a better standard. But Cheltenham was, it was enjoyable. It was a little less serious, I think, and that probably made it quite enjoyable. Chris Burns was my manager, I think, at under 14s, and he's another top bloke in the local area. And he was really good with young lads. So it was, bit more, less weight on my shoulders, if you know what I mean. I wasn't going to Bristol City. I was playing for. The season I was at City, they lost to Hull in the playoff final, so they were that close to going in the Prem, and it was like massive pressure, massive team. And then went to Cheltenham. I think they were League One at the time, and it was, it was a little bit less stressful, definitely.
Yeah. Chris Burns as well. I played under Burns as well. Another good guy, and he had a strong football league career as well, and again knows his stuff.
Yeah, he's a top bloke. He seen him. I think I was at Taunton at the time, and we played. I think we played Cinderford. Something happened during the game, but he come on the pitch after. He didn't shake anyone's hands. He was trying to fight people. He was just an absolute nutter. I was telling the Taunton lads to walk away from him because he's a bit of a head case.
Good stuff. But he's the sort of guy that he don't bear any grudges, does he? You're sort of off the pitch. He's good as gold, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I think actually the season we was at Cheltenham, he was my manager. I think he applied for the first team job at Cheltenham. He was.
Okay.
Cheltenham was struggling. I think Martin Allen was a manager at the time. The year I joined, Jamie Edge joined Arsenal, so it was, he's my age, Jamie. I think so. It was like, that was the big talk back then, because that kind of kept the club afloat. Him leaving for that money, it was huge. But yeah, it was good. Burnsy was a good bloke. We had a chap called Kim Casey as well. Your dad probably might know him. He's quite a legend. I think he played for Kiddie back in like the 70s or 80s, and he scored loads and loads of goals. But it was good. It was good. Good times.
So you when you were at City, then were you more of a midfielder? Were you? And then
I kind of dipped in and out. I played centre mid, and centre half, right back a few times. It was just. I think what it was, was a nippy kind of. When I was smaller, I was quite nippy and had an eye for goal.
Yeah.
And had a bit of a growth spurt at like 12, and I got slower and slower. So it was like, where can we put Charlie now? But I was always taught as a young age. It sounds silly, but as a defender, if you put if you're 1v1 with a striker, put yourself in the striker's boots and think about where he's going to go. So you kind of read it in that sense, if you know what I mean. It sounds a bit silly, but you've kind of gone 1v1 with you. I'm thinking, what way is Joe going to go? What way would I go? And I kind of try read it first,
Yeah.
I tried to do that. It obviously hasn't worked because I play part-time football, so I can't be that good at it. But
well, no, I think that's one of your great strengths is reading the game, isn't it? And your out and out best position now is centre back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would you? And you're sort of very comfortable there, aren't you? Would you say that you and it obviously helps playing different positions, doesn't it? When you're younger, I think.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's like I said, you put yourself in the attacker's shoes sometimes, and you try to read it in that sense. Lads are hammering me for it, but obviously I'm not the quickest in the world, so I kind of need to rely on reading it. I like to play in the centre over three at the back. So if you get three centre halves, and if he's well trained and well drilled, I know it seems like you can have a cigar and slippers, but if you play that deeper role and kind of sweep up, it's a nice role to play in. But I haven't played that for a few years.
No, not many teams in non-league seem to play that way at all, do they?
No. I've played it once for a full season under Michael Meeker at Taunton, and that was the best season of my life, really. It was really good. He's really well drilled with that formation. I think they still play it now because of him. That's his preferred kind of formation. So it was solid. It needs to be well drilled, because if you're not coached in it, then you got no chance.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you say that. We almost played three at the back on the weekend with our team, and the problem you've got though is that if the opposition are playing like two wingers high and wide, you could potentially sometimes get done, can't you, down the outside if you're not. But really, the outside centre back should shuffle across, shouldn't he, and engage that player, and then the opposite wing back should be tucking back in. So it's like a pendulum, isn't it? It should then just become like a back four anyway. I don't know how you worked it with Meeker at Taunton.
Yeah, that's kind of. I was either left or right of the three. We had Matt Villis in the middle and Owen Irick as well. So Mio and Matt. Sometimes a lad called Rob Farkins as well. He was a top player. Yeah, he's a bit of an
Didn't
animal.
he go to? He's played for Plymouth Parkway as well, didn't
Yeah, he played for Parkway. I think he's at Buckland now.
Yeah.
But he's an absolute animal, so he was good. Kind of me and Owen or me and Farks would do the marking, and then kind of Villis would swoop up, and you had Jamie Price, right wing back, who I can tell you now is probably one of the best players I played with. And how he hasn't played previously, professional, then I'm baffled, because he'd win you a game at right back, and it's just phenomenal what you could do from that position.
Yeah.
So he was different class, and that's kind of what made us tick that season. But yeah, it takes a lot of coaching. I think we spent a lot of time on the pitch going through that shape. But once you've got it right, then you can punish teams going forward, definitely with good wing backs.
Yeah, definitely. And I always worry at that system as well, that the opposition, if you're playing that way, the opposition fullbacks, if they're playing a back four, can sometimes have a bit too much time on the ball, can't they? Because if your wing backs are too deep, because it can sometimes become just a 5 at the back, can't it? If you're not.
Depends on opposition, definitely.
Yeah,
massive. But I think that season we played it relentless. We didn't change for any team, and we just went for it, But yeah, that was enjoyable.
Yeah. No, fair play. So Cheltenham then, you're at Cheltenham then, so you're playing in the Centre of Excellence there, academy football, against a lot of these local teams then, and you're playing in midfield or in defence. To talk us through how training was, how it developed, and then on to when you got a scholar, and just talk us through that.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think my under-16s manager. I think Burnsy took quite a bit of it. Pete Beadle was involved as well.
Okay.
A lot of it. I know Beads quite well. He's a good bloke. And it's kind of got to under-16s. It was just twice a week training, games Saturdays. It was professional. You had to be professional. So I prepared for every game as well as I could. As well as obviously juggling school, and then the travel from obviously Chartford to Cheltenham would be, difficult with, parents working in that. But I was there pretty much, week in, week out. Travelled with Josh Can quite a lot because he lived in Chartford at the time. So me and Can, was a little shout out for a great lad.
Yeah.
We travelled together a lot. Unfortunately, he didn't get a scholar. I think there was 6 or 7 of us that got offered towards the end of that 16s season. We play a lot of training games on a Thursday. So Tuesday would be like short-sided games. And then the Thursday would come and you would play, the 16s would be playing the 15s. And sometimes there'd be the coaches from the 18s would be there to watch and kind of cast their eye over you, see if they think you're good enough. Obviously, your managers would give a lot of feedback to John Bruff at the time as a manager. And then, it comes to like crunch time towards the end of the season, and it was kind of make or break. And that was nervous times, because you put your whole life into it. Your parents have given up your lot the last, God knows how many years, and you're traveling up to Cheltenham, and you've got a set time for a meeting. I know you've obviously gone through it as well, and you kind of are so nervous. You just don't want to let anyone down and so on. You got all your mates at school saying, "Oh, you're going to make it," and you're kind of like, "I'm not really sure." Tonight's the night to find out. And I got to Cheltenham. I remember just chatting to my dad and just saying, like, if it don't work out, I'll study a bit more and maybe go to uni. Just try and think of ways, alternative routes, kind of thing, and blah blah blah. But got to the meeting. They didn't really drag it out. They kind of offered you the scholar there and then. So that was like, what a relief,
Yeah.
Got straight in the car, rung my mum, rung my grandparents just to tell them it was such a nice feeling, because we still had about 3 months left of secondary school. So it was like weight off your shoulders about GCSEs. I still tried mine. I didn't just sack it off completely.
How did you do at school? How did you do at school? Did you do okay?
Not great. I was obsessed with football. It was just my life, I think I ended up with 2 Bs and 5 Cs. So it wasn't a complete car crash.
No, not at all.
Average grades, but I got an award at the end of school, and it was Mr. Bounce, because I always had a football. No matter what, I always had a ball under my arm. We'd play at lunchtime, play before school. I was just completely obsessed. The teacher used to hate it, but I enjoyed it.
Kids nowadays, mate, they're just on their phones. Obviously, I'm a teacher and that, and there's not as many ball games going on. I don't think.
No, it's a shame, mate. It was we played some competitive football as well. We'd have about 4 of us who could play football, and the rest was like 20 lads just trying to kick hell out of us. But we had some competitive times. So, but yeah, school was good, mate. But it was always in my mind, especially the last couple of months, that I was already set on going to Cheltenham as a scholar. So it was like, right, you can chill out a little bit now. But I'd come out okay, mate. Come out all right.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, you did, like you say, you're not totally flunked it whatsoever, and you come out as a reasonable grade. So that's always have something nice to fall back on, isn't it? Just in case it didn't work out. So then obviously you sign a scholar then, 2-year scholar, isn't it? And talk us through that process then. Obviously you're training every day, and you're doing jobs and stuff around the ground and things like that.
Yeah. So I think about a month before we were due to start, we travelled up to Cheltenham. My mum and dad drove me up to Cheltenham to meet the couple we were going to live with in our digs. So it was me, Joe Turley, and Callum Brown. So the 3 of us went, with our families, and we all met this elderly couple called Brian and Margaret. They were Cheltenham Town lifelong fans. They loved the club.
Nice.
So yeah, they put us up. So it was great. So we met them, and I think we met John Bruff that day as well, just to kind of just what they expected of us, behaviour in the house and so on, just not take the mick, And then it was about a month after that we started the full-time training. First session's quite a classic with Bruffy at the time. I think for the last kind of 4 or 5 batches of scholars, he would take us to Pitfield Park, which is I think it's a public golf course. And so first years would be together, second years be together. First years get on the line, and we have to do a lap of the golf course as quick as we can. And we're talking but it was just mental, it was just whistle around his neck, shirt tucked in, shorts up, here we go, this is welcome to Cheltenham. That was the first session. And we had to do a lap. No balls. We've done a lap of the Pitfield course as quick as we can as a group. And he would be on the clock, stopwatch, bang, write your name down, watch your time. We had 2 minutes rest, do it again. 2 minutes rest, do it again. So that was 3 times. And then we done 3 half.
How long a run was it?
About 6.5, 7 minutes. It was vital. Absolutely vital. But in between when we were resting, we were doing bodies. We were doing press-up, sit-ups, squats, lunges. It was horrific, But at that time, as 18, I was probably the fittest I've ever been. But that was a real eye-opener. You had lads pulling out with blisters. You had lads doing a back in. It was just carnage, That first week was absolutely mental. We hardly seen a ball. We went to the Lido as well, so we done some swimming pool sessions. They were pretty gruesome. It was like an army camp. It was literally just nuts, mate, honestly.
Do you think obviously it's pre-season and in that sort of situation is to improve your fitness, obviously. But do you think a lot of that as well, especially perhaps from his point of view, is to sort of test your character and see which ones are going to sort of... Do you think it's just as much that as it is, well, obviously it's going to get us fit?
Yeah, it was character building, really, because you have to stick together as a team and get through it. It was brutal, but when the balls were out, it was good fun. But I think John was really old school. I don't think we've really seen eye to eye, and he would probably agree. We've crossed paths over the years. It's not always been friendly. Sometimes it has. Other times it's just been, we've not talked. But yeah, it was character building, but also sometimes I thought personally it was too far. But that was him stuck in his ways a little bit. Some lads warmed to it. Some lads, some lads were town lads. So for instance, I'd say Matty Williams, a bit more streetwise than me. He was a centre half. He'd tackle anything, headbutt anything. He's probably one of the best centre halves I played with. So he probably warmed to how Bruffy kind of treated him. A little bit hard on him, got the best out of him. Me, that didn't really work. I go into a bit of a shell. I didn't really enjoy being, bellowed at and shouted at. And it kind of probably, it was my downfall really, because I wasn't kind of mentally as strong then. But in hindsight, in the long run, it's made me quite mentally strong now. So I can kind of deal with anything now. If you want to shout at me, just shout at me, because I went through hell back then, really.
Yeah, definitely.
But to be honest, like 2 years was great. I probably, if I could go back, I wouldn't do it again.
Really?
Yeah. It's not, like I said, for me, it's just some of the stuff I went through personally. I could have jacked football in on a few occasions.
Yeah.
But some lads, like I said, excelled and done well.
What kept you going then? Because I know a lot of lads do sort of quit halfway through scholars and things like that. What kept you going?
It's no fault of my parents, but it was kind of going home on a weekend and they'd be like, look, it's character building. Stick at it. You're in a good position. You're getting paid to play football. Not really much else you can do at this moment in time, Charles, so just stick at it. They knew everything that was going on. It wasn't just me. I wasn't being picked on. It was just the harsh reality of full-time football with someone who had kind of old school ways, which he still does now, and he's been a successful manager, don't get me wrong. He's done well and so on. But I think it was just parents kind of saying, look, just keep going. And there'll be some weeks where I enjoyed it, There was one instance which was, it was a big eye-opener for me. We played I think it was a reserve game on the Wednesday, and we're training on the Thursday. And John called us in the group, and he said, right, if you think you were a man of the match in yesterday's game, stand to the side. I thought I had a pretty good game. I'm going to stand over there. So and he kind of narrowed it down, and he said, if you've done this, stand again to the side. So I just kept standing because I thought, I had a great game, or a good game, sorry. But then he was actually being serious. So he said, one of you was going to train with the first team, and because you were a man of the match yesterday. And I was like, right. And then I think it was between me and say Turley or Matty. He said, right, Chaz, grab your boots, over the first team. And I was just like, wow, like this bloke who I thought kind of hated me is on my side this time. And it made me feel massive. I was running over with, training with Marlon Pack and quite Steve Elliott, some quite big names. And it was just like Bruffy loves me kind of thing. I couldn't believe it.
Sure.
So that kind of got me through, because when it was good, I felt on top of the world. But when it was bad, it was, I didn't enjoy it. But I feel like I'm targeting him, but it's a fine line, mate. I got to be brutally honest. It wasn't, most of the time, it wasn't that enjoyable. And it was tough, but it's got me a career, part-time career for the last 10 years in men's football. So that hasn't really harmed me too much.
So by this. No, it's very honest of you, mate, and it's interesting to hear different lads, because everyone's got different experience of this, and it's really interesting to hear people's different views and what they've been through and stuff. So by this point, were you just mainly playing centre back then when you were in the sort of second year scholar? Were you just mainly?
So first year it was kind of me and Joe Turley were centre mid.
Okay.
Yeah, we played a lot. I think with the gradual kind of idea to drop me into centre half with Matty,
right?
For the second year. So like some of the first year I played centre half, and then the second year it was kind of natural that me and Matty would become partners and go as a centre half pairing.
Gosh, that's a strong centre half pairing for money.
We've always said over the years, me and Matty, I haven't spoken to him for quite a while now. I will speak to him soon, especially after doing this. I'll get him to watch it. But we had a good friendship, me and Matty, and I speak to, like I said, I haven't spoken to him for a while, but when I do, it's like we've not lost contact. But he's an animal. He'd head up. He's a brutal player, but he was good. So he would do a lot of the dirty work, and I would just clear up and stay pretty and just get on the ball. Try get on the ball. And do the pretty work. But yeah, it was strong, and we've always said we wanted to play. A few clubs where we've had a few sniffs from a few clubs. It's like, well, should we go there, Matty, together and try and play again? But we'd probably be terrible now.
Well, I don't know. I think, like I said, I think you complement each other well, and like you said, he's very physical, and well, you're both good on the ball, to be fair, for defenders, and obviously you're a little bit taller than him, aren't you? But
yeah, he's got a big lead though.
Yeah, he does.
Lead.
But he's not, for a centre back, he's not slow, is he, Matty? He's
no.
But yeah, I feel you complement each other very well, mate. Some non-league manager out there somewhere outside the league now should be trying to get you two on their books.
Yeah. Do you know what? Like I said, I would love to play alongside him. I think we will one day, whether it's like a charity match or some get together. I think we have to.
Yeah. No, awesome. So coming towards the end of the Cheltenham days, then what happened towards the end? Then were you in terms of decision time and things like that? Talk us through that, mate.
I accepted the fact I wouldn't get a pro probably after my first year. Cheltenham were in a position where they wasn't the wealthiest. They were getting loan players in. Jack Butland come on loan. They would get young Premier League loans in instead of giving us a chance. Mark Yates at the time, I think he probably watched one youth team game, if that. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the man. He makes the decisions, and he's not even really watching. So you're under the impression you just see this out, try and impress other teams because they might, you might get a sniff. Played a lot of reserve games, so I was playing quite regularly in the Resis. That was an experience. Played down in Bournemouth. I think we beat Bournemouth 2-0. They were a Prem team at the time.
Yeah.
Strong championship team. And I had a few little snippets where, I can remember showering after the Bournemouth game, and Neil Howarth, who was the assistant at the time, he just tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to go far." And it was like, I was like, wow. But still, deep down, I knew I wasn't going to get anything. But yeah, it kind of fizzled out a bit, the season. John left with about 8 weeks left, I think. And then Russell Milton took over. And it was a case of just before that, actually, I was on the bench for the first team. So I travelled with the first team, me and Joe Turley, to Wickham. It was either me or Joe were going to be on the bench, and one of us is going to be in the squad. We didn't know till we got there. So we got off the coach at Wickham.
Was this
signed a few autographs? No, it was Johnson's Paint Trophy. So I like to say it's Football League, So yeah, we got off the coach, signed a few autographs, had the cameras in your face. That was funny. Walked into the change rooms, and my shirt was hung up. So I was like, this is quite a special moment. However, they spelt my name wrong, so they missed the G. So it said Hitchings, so I was absolutely gutted. And then, so during the warm-up, I think Dave Bird pulled out of the warm-up, but they never printed a T-shirt for Turley. So Dave pulled out of the warm-up, so Joe would have stepped up and been on the bench had they printed a shirt, but they never printed him. So I was gutted for him. Obviously, I was delighted. I knew I wasn't going to get on, but I think they used all their subs with like half hour to go. Taunton won 2-1. It was good. It was good experience. Oh, mate, it was brilliant. Even the coach down there, I had to make coffees, teas for all the management. I was absolutely bricking it. But yeah, it was good. It was you're just being a pro footballer for the day. So it was, and then at the end of that month, I think I got £50 bench bonus. So that was at the time get in there. Yeah. But no, it was good. I still got the shirt now. I haven't framed it, but that's quite a nice memory.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's quite special. They reprinted it for me, so they spelled it right in the end. Thank God. No,
nice, mate. So obviously you got released then. How many did they take on from your year?
None. So really? Matty was
quite rare. There's usually one or two, isn't there?
Yeah, I thought Matty was nailed on. He got his shirt in his first year, so Matty was on the bench in his first year.
Really?
Which that was brilliant because it was good to see him do that, and it was possible for one of us to at least have a chance. It was only me and him from that age group that got a mention or even made it in training with the first team. We were the main ones going over, really, and Turley. a few of the other lads did as well, but kind of we were the probably ones in the running for it to get a pro. I think they offered the following year was Ed Williams. So Ed was the first year when I was the second year. And Ed was the only one, and Joe Hanks, I think those two got pros.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's strange because we played teams like Rovers and Exeter, and me and Matty were kind of lining up and we're thinking we're better than these centre halves. You know, like if we were at those academies, maybe we might have got 1 year pro, and it might have been a total different career. You don't know, do you?
Yeah,
it's always ifs and buts. But yeah, that was it, mate. Got released. I think I carried on training because, like I said, we had about 8 weeks left of the season. So it was like, boys, you can carry on training, stay fit. And, you know, you're not going to get anything here. But if you want to carry on, keep yourself ticking over, you can play the remaining games and just see it out. So I thought, yeah, you know, nothing better to do, may as well. And then I played the exit trial. So I think all of us did, all of the lads. It was at Warsaw's ground, so that was quite nice. Nice little stadium. And there was 4 games that night, and mine was the last game. And I can remember playing. I played out of my skin.
Well, the pitch must have been good by then.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, I was gutted because, you know, we wanted to play on a nice surface, and it was all chewed up. It was a wet night, I remember. My dad drove me up there. I was absolutely so nervous to play, but I probably played out of my skin. One of my best games of that season, you know. I can remember looking up at one point, and all the scouts that were there when I was watching the previous games were gone. So it was like, I was looking up to the stand, I was thinking, no one's even there with a notepad, no one's really watching, and I was absolutely gutted. And I remember I think it was being filmed, and you could put in your number on a website and watch all your highlights. And honestly, mate, I had a game of my life, and I was thinking, sure, they're going to get offered somewhere at least. I had 4 offers. I think it was 4 offers. There was 2 universities in America, team in Sweden, and I think there was Falkirk as well in Scotland. But I don't know whether they just sent out loads, and I wasn't really convinced. You know, I had a letter from them, and I just thought, no, surely not. And then I decided to accept the offer to go to Sweden then on a 3-month placement.
Wow. So what club was that with then, mate?
It's a team called Gotna, and they were based in northern Sweden. Absolute stunning place, absolutely brilliant. You know, I think it was either 4th or 6th tier, so it was a reasonably good standard. It was similar, I would say, it was similar to Southern League. If I'm being honest with myself, so it wasn't. I was kind of sold a little bit of a dream to go out there 11 weeks playing full time, etc., etc.
So they were full time. They were full time pros, were they, or not?
No. I was kind of under the impression I was going out there and it was going to be, you know, quite regular and more professional. But I did enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. We trained twice a week. Games on Saturdays. It was similar to playing Southern League. But you had accommodation paid for. You had your food paid for. Obviously playing a reasonably good standard, and I was playing for the reserves as well. And I think in 1 week, or in 8 days, I played 6 games, full 90 minutes. So I played so much football out there. That was with first team and Resis. Yeah, it was nuts. But I went out there just purely just for the experience and kind of grow up. I was 18 at the time. Live out there on my own.
What an experience to move away from your family, different like that.
Yeah, it was huge, mate. And 3 months kind of, my mum would probably tell you different, but I kind of grew up when I went out there. You know, it was like you got to fend for yourself. But then upon coming home, so I was offered to go back out there, but I'd have to get a job and find, you know, accommodation and find a job, you know, stay with the club and so on. And it was just too much of a commitment for me. I enjoyed it. You know, I'd rather kind of come home and be closer to the family and try and get like a part-time club in England. But yeah, it was a great experience. Don't get me wrong. It was good. I think we got to the playoff semi, so we were 1 off of the final, and they paid for an extra 2 weeks for me to stay out there to play the semis, and we just lost. Yeah, so it was gutting, but 3 months was long enough. Like, it was starting to get cold, so I was like, right, I'm ready to come home now.
So what year was that then that you were up there?
So that'll be 10 years ago now. So just turned 28, so 18.
Right.
What was that? 2012, yeah, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did they what did they try and play out there to get the ball down and pass it back then, or was it just smash it long and seconds?
No, it was quite nice playing out there. They tried to play. Like I said, it was similar to Southern League, so just the pitches were similar as well. So we couldn't play the best football. There was a lot of artificial. There was quite a lot, yeah. So yeah, it wasn't bad football. But yeah, similar to Southern League, mate. You don't know what's going to happen, do you? You can pump it long or they can play short.
Yeah.
It's such a mix.
Yeah, definitely. So nice, mate. So what an experience. So then you come back from there and talk us through what happens then. Did you have to obviously get a full-time job?
Yeah, so kind of come home and it was kind of what to do now. It literally got through the scholarship. We got my MVQ in Sport and Excellence, I think it was. So I've got that, and it's kind of what do I fall back on now? Obviously, the football dream is kind of gone in that sense. So yeah, I was a little bit panicked. Before I went to Sweden, I spent about 6 weeks wasting my time. But I went down to Western and I trained at Western when they were in the Conference South. Me and Turley went down there. Pete Beadle set it up for us. And I wasted my time really because I was never going to get anything. Manager didn't really speak to me much. I just kind of went down there just to get some training in. And I was told before I went to Sweden, he said, give me a ring when you're back and we'll get you involved. Give him a ring when I was back. Sorry, squad's full. So it's like, right, I was jobless, didn't have a club. What do you do, I ended up signing on. I was on the dole for about 4 or 5 months because I just didn't know. I was at a crossroads and just had no idea what to do. And then I ended up speaking to Sykesy, he was Bishop's Cleeve manager, because he was obviously a contact I had from when I was younger. Yeah. And then I spoke to Rich Thompson as well at Mango's at the time. He's good mates with my uncle, so it was kind of get Tomo's number and see what that's about. Because I knew Bishop's Cleeve and Mango, same league. I thought, right, let's get a part-time club. And yeah, so I think Tomo initially said he couldn't sign me just because their squad was full. So I spoke to Sykesy, and he's kind of jumped at the opportunity. Yeah, come to Bishop's Cleeve. So I agreed to go to Bishop's Cleeve. Went back to Tomo and said, "Look, Sykesy's going to take me on. Thanks for opportunity. Like, thanks for talking to me. Blah blah blah." No. Don't sign Bishop's Cleeve. So yeah, a little bit of bargaining, and ended up going to Mango.
You inadvertently there were actually doing a bit of politics behind the scene, but it really
yeah. Well, living in Charfield, it was 45 to an hour drive to Bishop's Cleeve, or play for Mangotsfield, which is 20 minutes down the road. It was kind of what to do. I just wanted to play, mate. To be honest, that was everyone wants to. You're 18, you just want to carry on playing. And on the side of that, I ended up working in a gym in Dursley. So I got myself a full-time job in Dursley to study to be a level 2 instructor, and then playing for Mango's. So yeah, it was it's good. I really got a lot of time for Tomo, same as Sykesy. Built up a really good friendship, and I ring him quite often now and talk about what's going on in the football world and that, and see him at the pubs, and established a really good friendship there. And kind of growing up watching Yate Town, so I watched a lot of Tomo's era. So to go and play for him in men's football was like, quite a big thing for me. It was like he's a local legend. Played with lads like Kitey, Tom Paranello, Ashley Williams, who I play with a bit and now, Matty Syson, Ben Hunt, who had a real kind of Neil Arndale. We had a really good squad, It was quite a learning curve, like to get into men's football. But yeah, it was a big club at the time, Mango's, and they still are, but they had a bit more of a following back then. So it was a strong league, competitive league. But yeah, that was the start, mate, of kind of the Southern League journey, really.
Yeah. Did you so when you first started playing Southern League football then? Because I speak to a lot of lads about this. How did you find it from? I know you did your little bit in Sweden, and you said that was sort of similar. Did you find it a bit? Did you go through a bit of an adjustment to get used to? Because I feel there is a difference between like that academy and reserve and pro sort of football, and then you come to Southern League and some. Well, I certainly when I first started playing Southern League, I was like, oh my god, it's a different sport. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, I think because I started to work in a gym and started to learn how to do weights and so on, it was like, let's start to train weights now to get prepared for men's football, because there's some big boys you're playing against.
Sure, yeah.
And that prepared me well. I was surprised with the standards. I remember I made my debut for Mango's. It was Winchester away. Tommy played me centre mid, so I've been playing centre half in Sweden. And Tommy just chucked me in with, I think it was with Ash Williams or Jamie Reid, and just chucked me in. And it was just like, I can remember the ball just going over my head like that. And I was just thinking, this is just crazy. And I can remember coming off, I think it took me off of like 70 minutes. So we won 2-0, and lads come up to me after, Chaz, absolutely brilliant, great debut. And I was like, I didn't really do anything, I just ran round, literally ran round for the whole game. So yeah, I was expecting it to be easy and like, a bit of a jolly up, like get on the ball and ping it about with all these lads. Like they're all professional like me, but it was just brutal. You know what it's like? It's 90 minutes and you just go for the kill, don't you? It's literally a dogfight. But I was so naive at the time, mate. We went on in a pre-season for Mango. We played Buckland. I think it's near Torquay. So Tom has got a few connections down in Torquay. So he organised a little team night out for us to go down to Torquay. And I can remember walking along the seafront, waterfront. And one of the lads, I won't say who it is, it wouldn't matter anyway, but he sparked up a fag. So he's there smoking. And I was like, you smoke, do you? He said, yeah. I was just like, I was so naive at the time. I was thinking, how can he smoke? He plays like part-time football. Like, we're getting paid for this. I was absolutely baffled, That's how naive I was. I was thinking I'm stepping into like a world of like professional football. It really wasn't, Lads coming up drunk and that. It was just, what it's like, Southern League or part-time football. It's crazy. But that's how naive I was at the time. I was thinking, wow, they smoke.
Yeah. Brilliant. No, good stuff. So how long were you at Mangotsfield for then originally, mate?
I'd probably say I reckon I played about 50 odd games. Right. I was there for like a season and a bit. A season and a bit. I was kind of bit part to start with, and then I'd establish a position and play for say 10 games. And then he'd bring me out, bring someone in, and it was always kind of chopping and changing. But at the time, like I said, I was really close with Tomo, so it was never he dropped me and didn't speak to me. He'd always speak to me. All the time, It was never bad taste in my mouth. I was just like, right, there's lads more experienced coming in, like Matty Sosa, Alex Kite. These lads are top players.
Sure.
And
you kept a good attitude with it. You didn't just.
Yeah. I tried to, and then a lad called Matt Thorne, who was at Mango's, a centre mid, he ended up going to Clevedon. So kind of after. I think it was my second season. I'd done a full pre-season. I was fitter, stronger. I felt better. Had a few opportunities, played, and then I'm trying to think who they signed. They signed a few players, like 4 or 5 players, and the squad kind of changed. I remember Ryan Bath leaving, a few other lads left. And I was like, I need to go somewhere just to play. I said, I don't care what the money is. I just need to go elsewhere. So we played Clevedon, and I spoke to Forney because he had left Mango to go to Clevedon. Yeah. I went, the Clevedon gaffer, does he want a centre half kind of thing? Yeah, I'll get you in, Chaz, straight away. And I just said, take me. I think I took a £20 pay cut just to literally go down the M5 from Charfield straight to Clevedon and just played every game then for, the next probably season and a half there as well. So that was purely just to play. And Tomo understood it. There was no bad blood. He wanted to keep me, but I just said, look, I just want to go be the top boy kind of thing. Yeah. And probably the lads would admit that Cleveland team was probably one of the worst Cleveland teams, I think, because the season before they had quite a few big names. Mickey Bell and was a manager. They had Clayton Fortune. They had quite a lot of big names. Scotty Murray and a few others. And then we went, and it was just like a bunch of cowboys. It was a bad team, but we played, and like I said, I played, and I learned a lot. I think we stayed up on the last game of the season, so one of the seasons. Right. So it was an experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, bad team.
Well, all good experience though, mate. So then you moved to Yate from there, then did you?
Yeah. So we played Yate on a Tuesday night for Cleveland, and I had quite a good game. So I was on top of the world. Just my old man was there. I think my mum come to watch, or quite a few family members come to watch because it was more of a local game. And I think after the game they put 7 days in for me. And
who was manager?
So Rob Cousins and Meeks,
right?
Joint management, and they put 7 in for me and doubled my money at the time. We're talking peanuts, but it was like a no-brainer. They were just outside the playoffs. Cleveland were down near the bottom, so it was like a no-brainer for me. I think we played probably 7 games under Meeks and Trigg, and then they got the sack. So I kind of went there. I've done a lot of negotiating with Mika and that, and he's such a good talker. It kind of sold me the dream and said the club was in a great position, blah, blah, blah. And then went there, and I think it was 7 games he got the sack.
It was your fault then?
Yeah, literally my fault. And then Nigel Hawkins took over, and we finished, I think, a point outside the playoffs. So we did have a real good crack at it. But yeah, and then at the end of that season, Craig Laird took over. So the chap that turned me down for Western ended up getting the Yate job. And he turned up the training. I kind of turned up thinking, surely Lairdy's going to remember me. I spent 6 weeks with him at Western. He didn't have a scoop who I was. I had to remind him who I was. I was like, come on, Craig, I played for you for 6 weeks. He's like looking at me, just shaking his head. No idea who you are.
You had a bit of facial hair by then.
Yeah, that's what it was, mate. Honestly, and a Mohican. He literally just looked at me and thought, I can't even remember you. So it's kind of made my mind up then to move on again. Meeks ended up getting a coaching role at Taunton. Yeah. And playing Taunton, you'd probably back me up. They're quite a big team, aren't they, in the Southern League?
Yeah.
Quite a force. So then my money went up again when they offered me to go there. Obviously, there's more travelling. But that pre-season, I had Sykesy again at Shortwood. You might have been there at the time. He had rung me. Danny West, who was at Bridgewater, I think it's Danny West. Paul West, sorry. He rung me. Taunton Meeks was getting hold of me. And then there was Yate. Obviously, that Lairdy was still speaking to me and kind of seeing what I was doing.
Yeah.
Taunton come in with the biggest offer. So it was like, stuff it. Let's go there and give it a good crack.
Yeah.
There was me, Josh Klein Davis, Dale Evans, Jordan Rogers, Mika. So we had a decent car load from Bristol.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, it was literally probably, I think I played 42 games that season, and it was my most successful. We got to the playoff final, lost to Banbury. But yeah, it was unbelievable. What season? We went into every game just absolutely nailing teams, and we had like I said, Jamie Price was our captain, a right back, and he was just so good. He'd win you a game from right back. We had Lewis Powell as well, so we had prime Powler scoring 30 odd goals a season. So yeah, it was good, mate. It was played in front of the biggest crowd at that time. It was 1,500, so that was at the playoff final. That was
good,
quite an experience. Yeah, I got man of the match as well in the final, so that was.
I get all these man of the matches you keep getting everywhere.
Mate, I've had like 4. I got 4 bottles of champagne in the garage, and that was literally the only man of matches I've had. I played like 400 games. So yeah, that was good, mate. Taunton was a really good experience. Like I said, 40 odd games. We had a nice tour.
Was that Southern, South, and West, or Prem?
That was South and West.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, never played Prem, Joe. All right, I've only been in South and West. Yeah, it was good, mate. Taunton was a really, really kind of well-run club. Not just financially, but kind of the crowds. it was just such a good atmosphere.
Yeah, it's a proper non-league club, isn't it?
It is, and it still is now. And this was, well, when was I there? 6 years ago. So it's come on leaps and bounds now. Obviously, it's got a promotion since, so it's up higher. But yeah, really, really well supported club. And you obviously had Tiverton as well, which was a big derby. So played that game a few times. That was enjoyable. One of the games at Taunton, we drew 4-4 FA Cup games, so that was just unbelievable. But yeah, and that season, I played a whole season, and then the second season come, and that was when Hereford, Pete Beadle was at Hereford, and they had dropped, or they got promoted, from their league into the Southern. South and West, And that season you had Taunton, Tivy, Swindon, Banbury, Salisbury, Merthyr. Well, actually, I think Merthyr would not have been in it then. Paulton was strong, Mango was strong, Yate was strong. It was such a good season of Southern League football. I'd say, probably a lot of lads would say, it was probably the strongest in the last kind of, 6-7 years. It was crowds were big.
At least, yeah.
But yeah, that pre-season, I turned up to Taunton, and I kind of rocked up first training session. I was told on the phone that I'd be kind of one of 2 centre backs. I turned up, and there was 4 or 5 centre halves, and talking big names as well. So it was like Chris McGrath. There was a few others, and Ed Palmer, lads that I know were going to play ahead of me. So I kind of done the maths. Even though I had a good season, I kind of done the maths, and I was looking around. I was thinking, no, I ain't got a chance here. And then Yate had seen that I was on the bench for a few games. Yate had seen that. They put 7 days in for me. A little bit of a pay cut, and I thought, you know what, let's just go play closer to home. And yeah, signed for Paul Bitton at Yate. And yeah, kind of went from there, mate. I was club captain after, 20 odd games. I think Kai Mountford left, and then I took on the armband. Kind of left Taunton, who were high flying, to go to Yate, who were, a few points off of relegation. So it was quite a task to go there. But like I said, that season we had such strong teams. It was brilliant. Hereford come to Yate with, I think they bought 800 fans. So it was like massive. Each team that season had big crowds. At least once or twice with Salisbury as well. And then Hereford away, there was 2,800, I think. So that was
nothing
huge.
Nothing better than playing in front of a huge crowd like that. It's brilliant.
Oh mate, I was gobsmacked. Honestly, I could not believe it. It was, like I said, Banbury game was 1,500, and that was hostile. That was good. And then you walk out at Hereford. Yate had just signed Harvey Rivers as well, so obviously he's my keeper, and he was getting a lot of stick, so that was quite funny. But yeah, that was an experience, mate. That was good.
Yeah.
And then I just was at Yate then for, I think it was about 3 seasons.
What was that like then? Obviously, you were made club captain, weren't you? Well, that must have been quite, because it's sort of one of the more local clubs to where you're from, and sort of you've grown up in and around the area and watched it, and that must have been a good moment for you.
Yeah, well, obviously second stint there. So first stint, I kind of had a bit of unfinished business, built up a bit of a rapport with some of the fans, because obviously growing up, I used to watch Yate quite a bit when I was little. And a lot of the fans kind of knew my old man and knew members of my family, so I kind of built up a good friendship with a few of them. And yeah, to go back there was nice. And like I said, unfinished business. Started off to a flyer as well. I think my second home debut, I scored against Salisbury, and we beat them 3-2. And it was just like Steve Claridge, big dog, bringing his big guns down, and we beat them.
Yeah.
It was just, what a moment. So that was good. That was a good start to life back at Yate. It wasn't the best team. I think we gave out about 50 squad numbers that season. It was just like getting anyone in just to try and scrape through. But stuck at it. The second season, me and Harv were put on a contract for a season, so that was quite nice to have that kind of stability.
Yeah, sure.
Money was good. Just playing local was great. And then,
how was Polly, mate? I know a lot of lads talk well of Polly. How was he to play for?
Yeah, he was good. it kind of went a little bit pear-shaped towards the end of my playing career there. I was part of a squad with Josh Ford, Des, two great lads, honestly brilliant lads.
Yeah.
But when you're a skipper in a changing room with those two, because they're natural leaders as well, sometimes I would say things that would clash, or I would feel inadequate. You know, I'd have the armband, but I wouldn't really feel like I was a captain.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was difficult. Probably say similar to Bitton now, because Bitton's got quite a lot of personalities and kind of bigger names. It can be quite challenging as a captain. So yeah, it was hard, especially my last kind of few games there. We had Salisbury in the FA Cup. We drew at their place. Dave Sims scored a worldie at their place, a shinner. So yeah, we drew at their place. Then we went. The replay was at ours on the Tuesday night, and the footage is online actually. I think I've got it on my phone. Sam Paulton, the centre half, got absolutely clattered. I think we were about 3-0 down at the time. All kicked off. We've all ran in, you know, handbags. Des has grabbed Darren Mullins by the throat. He got hold of, you know, each other's throats. Kind of, we all run in, break it up. We're pushing. Everyone's pushing each other. It's a bit embarrassing. Ref calls over Darren Mullins, straight red. Ref blows his whistle. Number 6, I think it was. So, you know, whatever I had on, come here, captain.
That's you.
Yeah. So I'm like, right, where's this going? Straight away, straight red. So I kind of looked at him. I was like, what's that for? He said, well, you've grabbed their number 8 by the throat. I said, that wasn't me. No. Obviously, mate, the decision's made. I can't do nothing. So I kind of walked off, gave my armband, put it on, whatever I'd done. I think I threw my armband off because I was fuming. And at that point, I was like, right, like, it wasn't me. Surely there's some footage I can kind of get out of this and appeal it. Not to stitch Des up, but just to clear my name, because I obviously hadn't done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that night I messaged Polly and I just said, look, there's footage. I found a video. The video was put online quite quick. And I said, look, it's clearly not me. I think I disappeared out of the camera for about 3 seconds. And that's probably what the FA would have played on. They said, look, it happened then. But hand on heart, I didn't even touch Darren Mullins. So it was like,
no, yeah.
And I actually went to the club and I said, look, that's 3 weeks I'm out now. I said, I'm not going to get a wage. I didn't need the money, but I said, look, can you kind of pay me some kind of wage? Because I've been sent off unfairly. And they just didn't respond. So I was just like, club captain for, 3 seasons. I know it doesn't mean a great deal, but I was quite loyal to them.
Yeah.
So it was like, can you help me out a little bit? They eventually got back to me and just said, no, we can't, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, right, sit tight, ride it out. A 3-game ban, it's not the end of the world. And you'll get yourself back in the team. So after the ban was over, I kind of spent, I think, 3 games on the bench then. And then we had Dorchester in the FA Cup. And it was a Saturday and I played. So I was back in the team. I've been captain for 3 seasons. Going through the warm-up like that, Polly comes up to me in the warm-up and just says, you're not captain now. And I was like,
oh, God.
No, in the warm-up. God's honest truth, I'm not trying to stitch the bloke up because, like I said, he's a good bloke, but that's how it ended, and that's the truth, because a few things got put in the paper that was really, it was a bit cheeky, but so he kind of come up to me and said, you're not captain, Des is captain. I went, all right, no worries. We played well, we drew 0-0, so we got a replay in Dorchester on the Tuesday night, and that's a trek, mate. Dorchester's not close.
Yeah. No.
So then we went to Dorchester on the Tuesday. I was thinking I'm going to start. Surely I'm going to start. I played well. We got a clean sheet. Let's go again at Dorchester. Didn't say a word to me all night. I was dropped. Didn't speak to me all night. Put me on at right back for the last minute. And literally didn't speak to me. So I was just like, the disrespect at that time, I was so riled up. I was like, I didn't say anything. I just kind of come home and slept on it.
Yeah.
And John Rendell had spoke to me, previously about coming to Paulton kind of thing. And my head was all over the shop. Probably a little bit rash, but I just decided to leave probably 2 weeks later. A few other things happened, and I didn't throw my rattles out of the pram, but I was just like, no, this isn't for me. I kind of lost the armband, kind of lost a bit of respect for Polly, fell out of favour. The lad that come in, Sam Bolton, got Player of the Year that year. He was superb. So I wasn't, he was strong. He was quick. He was playing really well, and that wasn't the issue. It's just a case of not being spoke to, and losing an armband in a warm up is just not for me. I didn't think that was fair. But yeah, that's that cleared up for Yate. That's I'll stop crying now.
Yeah. Well, no, like you said, it's a local club for you, mate, isn't it? And you had some good years there in club captain.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you obviously still got fond memories from your time there, and these things happen in football, don't they?
Yeah, mate. It is a great club. Don't get me wrong. And I went to watch the playoff final the year they won it.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was great. But I left before the actual whistle went, because it was like my team, and I was just like devastated. It was great that they won. I wanted them to win. I'm like a big time supporter deep down, but I was just like still hurting a little bit,
Yeah.
Because kind of in my head, I was thinking, was I too rash? Why did I leave? Like, I've left them a year, they've got promoted. Like, it's typical.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just too much. Like, emotional. I got a bit of an emotional attachment. My granddad used to take me there a lot. So it is, I know it's a non-league local club, but you still sometimes pulls on the heartstrings a little bit. But I got some great mates from there. Joe Guest, Simsy,
sure.
Josh Cam was there. He didn't play a great deal like me, but good mates with Canny. So it was good, mate. It was eventful. And then when I went to Paulton, 3 weeks later, we actually played Yate. And,
of course you did.
When we were at Yate, when we used to win games, we put the Wenger Boys, We Like to Party song on in the changing rooms and kind of get naked or whatever and run around.
Sure.
And then when beating them for Paulton, we beat them 1-0. I put the speaker in the corridor, put that song on. Yeah, and it didn't go down very well apparently in the
brilliant.
In the Yate dressing room, but that was quite a nice memory, mate. That was quite a good time, And then I spoke to Polly in the bar after and kind of let out, spoke to him and we shook hands and that was it. But it was nice to get a few things off my chest. He let a few things off his chest because it ended a little bit sour grapes, but then we sorted it. So that was it.
Oh, that's good. That's good that you got a bit of closure on that. And
definitely
good stuff. I was John. Obviously, I know John really well. I've known John John Rendell was at Cardiff when my old man was there right at the end of his career. We used to come. Dad used to give him a lift up to Cardiff sometimes because he must have been a scholar or a first year pro when my old man was just finishing off his career there. So I've known John since I'm like 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. How
was John to play for?
Yeah, he was brilliant, mate. He was a Yate coach when I was at Yate with Polly, so knew him from there. I haven't got a bad word to say about Renz. He is a top bloke. Sure. And Paulton's another club similar to Taunton. It's really well run, decent little fan base. Got Renz and Tubbs there that are good mates, and like any other manager, you've had it as well. You fall out with them, you make up with them. It's just the way it is. But there was never any bad blood between me, Renz, and Tubbs. It was always kind of positive. I was captain there as well, so it was good to kind of carry that on, and they give me the armband. I had that responsibility. Yeah. A couple of seasons were cut short because of COVID.
Yeah.
So one of the seasons we were near enough in the playoffs. We had Ben Bammont on absolute fire. Dave Sims was, announced himself, massively to the Southern League by banging in quite a few goals. That season unfortunately got cut short, but that's a good times, mate. There, it's like I said, it's a well-run club. And I see Renz and Tubbs now and text them every now and then, and it's good, mate. You build such good friendships, and it's not all bad blood in football, I don't think.
No, definitely. Yeah, and they're good guys. They're sort of good football people, aren't they? Know their stuff, and nice, fair play. What about the Bitton move then? Talk us through that.
Mate, that was to be fair, it was post COVID. My job kind of dried up massively, so finances weren't great. I didn't have overtime and so on. And obviously clubs would struggle post-COVID as well. So I think Paulton were one of those with budget cut and so on.
What do you do for work, mate? Sorry, what do you do?
Welder. So I work in the
Right, okay.
welder. Yeah, but I've recently changed jobs to a different firm, but the firm I was working for at the time were involved in aerospace industry. Obviously, planes being grounded, I didn't have much work on, so it wasn't great. Just bought a house with my missus, so it was needed to be getting that extra money. Fair play to Paulton, they used the furlough scheme, so I took about 7 months of furlough money from them, and that was fantastic. Looked after us. But then I had this little sniff from Bitton. Had a chat with Rob Sage, who was the coach there at the time, and they made an offer for me, mate. And like I said, post-COVID finances and so on, we're not talking like ridiculous money, but just that extra bit of money to kind of make up for not having overtime and less travel and so on. For me, it was a bit of a no-brainer. I was always kind of under the impression of like stay in the Southern League, Char. That's 9 years in the Southern League, get to 10 years. I was like, come on, you do that. And I just didn't really get the vibes off of Rennes. Give them a little bit of an ultimatum, kind of put them on the spot and say, look, I'll stay if I can do this and get this kind of thing. It sounded, don't want to sound big time, but that was the way it was. And he didn't really speak to me for a few days. So I kind of thought, well, if he's not that first, I'm going to make a decision now, because before I know it, I'll be clubless because he won't want me, and Bitton and moved on to someone else. So I made the decision, and it's a crazy club, but it's good, mate.
Yeah. No. How have you found the difference then from playing Southern League to playing in that Toolstation Prem? Then what is there much difference with the top teams, or how do you find it?
I would say there's no comparison now from Toolstation to what the Southern was a few years ago. Like I said, with the tough league we had, there's no comparison there. But in recent years, I would say, just from experience, other people might tell you different, but South and West kind of little bit of a decline in standard. I would say personally, that's just me. Yeah. So I wasn't too gutted leaving the South and West to go and play Toolstation, because I knew there were similar standards. So yeah, I don't think there's anything clear that's different in the standards. I just think maybe the crowds are less. That's quite noticeable. And there is some games where it's like, what on earth is going on here? But then I had games in the Southern League like that, really literally just boosting it out. And that's all I've done for 90 minutes, So for a centre half, I don't think it changes much of that, the two standards.
No, yeah. I've always felt that the sort of bottom 6, 7, 8 teams in the Southern League are not really much cop, or at least probably most Toolstation Prem teams would give a lot of the bottom half of the Southern League a really good game, if not beat them. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, with a lot of Toolstation, you do get a lot of the South and West players drop down. You say drop down, but just drop into a different league, really.
Less travelling, more money.
Less travelling, more money. Yeah, win-win. I had to swallow my pride a little bit. Like I said, I didn't really want to drop. I'm not sounding big time, but I just didn't want to leave the South and West. I was kind of like, in my head, I was still in that kind of professional mindset of play as high as you can. But like I said, believe it or not, it was the COVID kind of played on it with the finances and so on. I wanted to play more local. Paulton's not exactly miles away, but it's Bitton's only
enough, isn't it? On a Tuesday or a Thursday night, it can be a bit of a drag to get to there.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, Bitton is a hated club. I think there's quite a few teams that dislike us, and whether it's the personalities there or to me, I think it's a bit of a sleeping giant. We've got some big names in the squad, and you've got a nice ground, you've got a good setup, kind of financially very stable. I think
they've got a Southern League setup. They've got a Southern League setup, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely. And we've got players, like Dean Griffiths. he's phenomenal. Honestly, the bloke is such a fit, fast bloke. I've played him over the years and watched him play, and he is an animal. But to actually have him on your team, you know, he is a battering ram, and he'll get you. At the moment, he's on course for 25 goals this season. Josh Egan just coming back fully fit now. You know, he's growing up. I played with him at Jamie Shore. You know, and his right foot is phenomenal. You've got Ashley Williams. He's a born leader. You know, he's a natural leader. Mate, on paper, it's a really strong team. And if we can challenge, and, you know, hopefully I'll drop down for one season, I can get Bitton up, you know. That was the plan. Just a fresh challenge, really. Yeah. But it's quite an unforgiving league. You don't know, do you? You don't know who's going to turn up on the day.
No, that's right. And I think for the last 3, 4, 5 years, Bitton have always been there or thereabouts, and never. I know we've had a few COVID seasons, and they've probably been a bit unlucky, maybe not to get promoted. But like I said, we've got such a experienced and strong team, and we've got obviously good financial backing, good ground, and but like you said, with the amalgamation with the Cornish teams that have come into that league now, there's some strong teams, aren't there, from down south? And definitely. Maybe if that wouldn't have, I think that could have hindered Bitton a little bit. It's not helped them because teams like Tavistock and Exmouth and these teams, they're big, strong, experienced teams as well, aren't they, with decent budgets?
Yeah, they are, and they get some big crowds down there. You know, they're well supported. That's one thing with Bitton I've noticed. Kind of home games, we've not got a massive following, which is a shame because I know it's only non-league, but to have a crowd and, you know, clapping you and so on, it does give you a little bit of a buzz, doesn't it? But yeah, I'm hoping, obviously, if we can get out of it this year, and this is a different story then, in a higher division, might get some crowds. You don't know, do you? I think it's an interesting group of players. I've never met anyone like Joe McLennan. He's got a different personality every time I see him, but he's a great lad. But it is a funny team, you know, and when it's going well, it's a good changing room to be part of, definitely.
Yeah, a few years ago, he went on a night out with some of my mates, and I think he wore a pair of Puma King studded boots for the whole night out with like jeans and a shirt, and literally studs and pads, I think. Mate,
that does not surprise me. I'm pretty sure I got a pair of Puma Kings. He'll probably wear it again, to be fair. He's absolutely nuts, but mate, it's I wasn't sure what to expect when I signed because you hear quite a few rumours and so on. But
yeah, sure.
It is the thing is these personalities, they don't like to lose. So when it comes to a Saturday, you know, we can all mess around throughout the week and mess around after games, before games. But when it comes to 3 o'clock on a Saturday, these lads mean business. You don't want to be going home losing 4 or 5-0. They want to be winning 4 or 5-0. So I think when we gel, we're a strong outfit, definitely.
Yeah, nice. And just to finish, then, tell us about I've seen someone getting custard pied in the face after a game on the weekend, and I found that quite amusing. Did you want to just talk us through that?
I don't know if it's a new tradition. I'm not really sure. I think they've done it in the past, but I think man of the match gets I don't know what it was, a trifle to the face and a bouquet of flowers. I don't know whether that just sums it up. I've never seen anything like it, Joe, to be fair. I actually don't have any words. I just sit there and just watch it and I think, what is going on? You just got to join in, I think.
Yeah, it looks quite fun. Looks quite fun, to be fair. Nice, good stuff. So, well, it's been great talking to you, mate. I could probably talk to you for a lot longer about football, and obviously you've had a huge range of experiences, and it's always interesting talking to different people and seeing where they've been through, and especially in sort of pro football and non-league and the trials and tribulations of that. And you've certainly had some great experiences. So thanks for coming on. Thanks for the chat, and all the best for the rest of the season with Bitton, mate. Hopefully you can do 1 or 2 go up.
1.
It is 1, is it?
Yeah. And we got Tavi this weekend, so hopefully we can put the pressure on, mate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, where's that? Away or home?
Away.
Is it?
Yeah, it's gonna be a good day out, mate. I think, regardless of the result.
That's a 6 or 7 pointer then, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Yeah, nice. Well, listen, all the very best for the rest of the season, mate, and thanks very much for coming on. You've been listening to Chalk Talk. Please hit the subscribe button if you've been watching, and join our ever-growing community. And I'll see you soon for the next episode.